Whenever you're ready.
Well, I like to talk when an interview, whenever they will try to explain something about myself and my young childhood days. And there were so many things that went through my mind as trying to reflect as to what took place and how did all this come about. And there were so many things, and I hope I can keep them in some form of continuity. But we can, through the media that we have today, we can change things the way we want them to be and have them come out the right way. But the thing was, as a young boy, my house was always seemed to be the headquarters where all the fellas showed up. I had a big house and a wonderful mother and father. And
Now, where was this house located?
I lived in Yonkers, New York,
Mm-hmm.
and out in the eastern part, or right, pretty much the central part of Yonkers, of the city itself. And and this was during the Depression days, and I can remember one of the references I can remember back, and it didn't affect me very much at the time, but this was during the Depression, and hearing my parents tell me that the teachers in the city of Yonkers would not get paid for 1 year, but they were assured that if they would stay and work for the 1 year, they would get their full pay. But right now, Yonkers didn't have the money to pay them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the things that took place during the Depression days. But the fact that all the fellas used to come to my house, and I did have a pool table in my cellar, and I had a punching bag down there in the cellar, and it was fun for the fellas to show up. And my mother always seemed to have a cookie for the boys, and I think they enjoyed coming. And in the course of doing this, or maybe late in the day or the afternoon or very early evening, we'd get together, and we were going to go down to the local, we called it a drugstore, where we could get an ice cream soda or a dish of ice cream, and that probably wouldn't cost no more than 15 cents. And so getting ready to leave, my mother would say, "Now, boys," she'd point a finger at each and every one of us. And I was the only Protestant of the group. The rest of the boys were of the Roman Catholic faith. And she'd point a finger at each and every one of us and say, "You dare to be a Daniel, dare to stand alone, and dare to have a purpose firm, but dare to make it known." And she just would pound that on us every time we went. And all these boys, as the years went on, when they met me, they'd point a finger at me and say, "Dare to be a Daniel." And that was a part of it, and they enjoyed it. And she wasn't infringing on their religious beliefs at all. It was just that this was my mom, and they knew how to accept it. And it was great. And that pretty much lived with me through the war and through my life. And the other part of it, I'm trying to remember at the moment exactly, the other point was the fact that as a little boy, prior to having all the rest of the fellas come to my house, as a young boy, I was born with a birthmark on my left cheek.
Mm-hmm.
And as little kids, I'm talking 5, 7, 8, 9 years old, with this red mark on my cheek, I'd get teased. And they would just laugh at me and make fun of me and whatever. And as boys will do. Boys are just miserable if they can be at times. And tease me about this red mark on my cheek. And I'd go home and I'd be crying and moaning and groaning to my mother about my imperfection. I had a red thing and nobody else has one. And as only a mother could possibly do, she would hug me and tell me, "Now you tell those other boys that you are special. You have a birthmark. They don't. You have been kissed by angels, and they haven't. That's what makes you special. Just remember, you have been kissed by angels." And that has lived through me all my life. And that was one of the special things of my lifetime. And there was other things that went on and through my life that have just sort of touched me and made me pretty much the man that I am. And what I can remember then when I first was going to join the service, that I can remember reading that General Lee had, and this was the month that I enlisted, General Lee came out with the statement that the 101st Airborne has no history, but they have a rendezvous with destiny. And that also has lived with me. And part of my life is finally reaching the climax, and I have spoken about this for a few years now, that I think back, and I honestly feel that I have dared to be a dandle, and I have also had my rendezvous with destiny, and there's no doubt in my mind that I have been kissed by angels. And that's the way I put it together. Excuse me for choking up, but I can't help it. That's me.
That's Red Falvey.
That's Red Falvey. Thank you.